back to the Tailosive Movie Reviews podcast. My name is Nick. Today I'm joined by DJ. No, wait. You are not DJ.
How's
You're
it
Mike.
going?
I've recorded way
Starships
too many podcasts.
And
yeah, Starships.
NASA.
And yay, space. And you know what is not in space? Incredibles. Great transition.
That was an incredible transition.
It was so incredible. Wow. So we watched a movie. We've kind of been a little behind, I think. I forgot to post Wall-E last week, I think. I uploaded it to YouTube. I had the thumbnail and everything. I just didn't hit the publish button. I was waiting for it to process, and I just moved on to other things. We just recorded the X-Men one yesterday. You and I recorded the EV podcast this morning, and we're recording this one tonight. So basically, Mike and I have done 3 shows in the span of like a day and a half. So we're pretty much the new face of the Tailosive Podcast Network. Look out, Drew and Randy. We are coming for you. We're going to take over the entire network if you are not careful. Anyway.
I mean, we are pretty incredible people, right? And speaking of incredible
I am an
people...
incredible person. I don't know about you. Have you seen the...
I'll let you have fun.
All right, I am taking over the entire shows. This is just going to be me. I'm talking to myself. Part of the usual arrangement. This is not okay, Mike, I need you. Please come back. We need you, Mike. Please come back.
Did I hear
good. Here
begging?
I am begging. I'm begging in the most manly way possible. A little crack in my voice. Okay, so the person who is most manly in the entire world. I mean, I don't think there's any argument.
Syndrome.
Any cinematic universe, some people say, oh, Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr. I say Mr. Incredible is the most manly man on planet Earth. There, I said it.
I was thinking Gazer Beam is, but that's all right. I see how it is.
Gazer Beam's a skeleton at this point. Or is he? There's a conspiracy theory there, which we will get into, I am sure. All right, so what movie did we review this week, Mr. Mike?
Well, you said at the very beginning, we reviewed the wonderful Incredibles. I guess you're just teeing me up right here. But yeah, The Incredibles, fantastic movie. Very incredible. Fun fact, it used to not be called The Incredibles. I think it was called The Invincibles at one point.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
And another fun fact, this was only written by one person, this one whole movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I also didn't know that.
Exactly.
Interesting.
I forgot the guy's name, and I don't have my iPad in front of me today, which is a bummer, so I'll leave it to Nick to try to look at the IMDb.
Yeah, let me pull up the IMDb.
You guys want that fact. But yeah, one dude, I think it's Brad or Brian or something like that. Yeah, pretty neat, pretty cool. Really good movie. I enjoy it. I don't know if we want to go step by step through it like we've done in the past, or if we want to
How would you rate it? How would
I rate it? That is a great question. Incredibles. So like...
Written by Brad Bird. Yeah, just
Brad
one
Bird,
writer. That's pretty
close.
cool. Also directed by Brad Bird. So here's the writer and director. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Definitely was going for a really cool theme with this. But I digress. I'll get to that in a second for the theme. I think the theme's fantastic for this movie. Yeah. 6 out of 8. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it, like a month ago, just because I was like, I feel like watching The Incredibles, even though it's not on the movie list that me and Nick are going through right now. Or at least we weren't reviewing it that week.
We weren't there yet.
But then watched it last night again. I'm like, oh yeah, I like this movie. Like there's always cool little details that you can always notice in it, whether it's the cell block. No, was it cell
A113?
Yeah, cell
A1 from
A1
A113.
block A13 or whatever. Yeah, or just all the different details in it, trying to track Syndrome and his plan, which sometimes is very much built on a lot of bricks that could crumble really easily that was a really smart plan. But anyways, yeah. And then the theme, pretty cool. But before we get to that, what about you, Nick? What do you think of this movie?
This is definitely a solid 7 to 7.25.
Oh, wow.
This is I really enjoy The Incredibles, both 1 and 2.
Getting close to Wall-E territory.
It is really getting close to Wall-E territory. It's in the 7s, which is how you know it is A, Pixar movie, and B, one of Nick's favorite Pixar movies. Yeah, that's how you know. So it is one of my favorite movies to just kind of watch. It's not a movie I feel like I have to be super engrossed in. Like Wall-E, I sit down and get my popcorn out and put on my blankie and turn out all the lights and watch a movie. But because it's just so visually appealing. But especially the 2004 Incredibles, it is less visually stunning, but I love the storyline, and I also love some of the just art design that they used. And so it's kind of a fun movie to put on in the background when I'm doing other stuff. Some people might listen to podcasts or whatever, but on occasion I'll toss on a movie. Like when I was working on Cube 1 back there, I just unironically threw on Incredibles 2, which obviously is the sequel to this one. But it just kind of shows you that I don't really watch a lot of movies, and I say that a lot, but a lot of the Pixar movies, Wall-E, Incredibles, Toy Story are the ones that I will actually watch, like, just for fun, as most people do. So this is definitely one of my favorite movies. I have a few reasons for that. Number one is it gives me like warm, happy summertime vibes and like a nostalgic version of the 50s and 60s. It's just like so much fun. Like everything is modern. What is it called?
Yeah, I forget what they call it. There's actually a specific style that's called.
Yeah,
but it's a futuristic
style.
retro, where it's like the
I
familiar
know this.
look of the retro look, but then it's got that like Jetsons ideal of like this is what things could be.
Randy and I talked about this style of art design for like an hour on one of the Nick and Randy shows. It's just blanking for me right now, but there's like a name for this kind of art deco. It's like a style, and so the entire movie is that in both of them. They didn't time jump or anything, and I love the suburbia of the original Incredibles. Just like all the houses are like totally 1950s, like modern classic. I'm messing this up, but anyway, the design. You just Google it real quick, but you can just see the houses are made with such love and such care for the time period that they're placing this movie in, which is really an interesting thing, especially seeing how this movie was made in 2004, right after Nemo, which, if you remember, Pixar wasn't super great at animating humans. If you remember the diving guys from Nemo, or I don't know, Andy or Andy's mom, or the kid hitting the alien thing at Pizza Planet and Toy Story. Pixar was not doing a great job with people, but The Incredibles was the first time that Pixar felt confident enough in their ability to animate human beings that they decided to tackle a full human cast where it was all human-centric. And I think there are some scenes that really look good, even up to today's standards, and there are some scenes that do not look good, even by the 2004 standards. I'm specifically talking about Mr. Incredible's belly button. That does not stand up to anything at all. It is terrible.
Why is that visualization in my mind now?
It is. Every time I watch it, I'm like, ooh. Not only is it bad animation, but it's beer belly buttons. And he's an outie. It's just like, ouch, this hurts my brain. Please make it stop. But yeah, and also the storyline is just, you can't beat it. I mean, the story is a fun, engaging kind of, it feels like a summer flick almost, where it's kind of like, the stakes aren't super high, and you're just there to have fun and enjoy the movie. And it's.
I might contest with you on the stakes being not that high. You got a robot threatening a whole entire city. I mean, not like it's Avengers
not Thanos
level threat,
snapping the entire universe in half. Yeah.
No, but still, the whole entire city's at stake. I mean, that's basically Age of Ultron in a way. Like, Sokovia is being lifted up into the sky. Like, holy moly. And this, it's a giant robot just rampaging around, in which I forget in Incredibles 2 if there's really that much pushback from the government and the fact that the superheroes saved the day. But I digress. I love the beginning of this movie. I just want to say the beginning of this movie. It's hilarious. I mean, so there's the very beginning prologue of just like all the superheroes just talking to a camera, kind of introducing themselves. I think that was like the original trailer, right? Or not original trailer, but something that they showed in the theaters. I forget. But following that, kind of like it's a high-speed chase, right? Mr. Incredible's kind of going to his wedding. Yep. We don't know he's going to a wedding, but he's going somewhere. And he's like, oh, I got time for superheroing. Yep. And then you get his autonomous car driving for him. Like, it's so cool.
Totally. Who doesn't want that?
Gets to, like, transform itself. And it's funny because, of course, like, the animation, like, it shows, like, his little blip going on the map. And you get... It's funny because it's just like, oh, it just did a turn, like, within half a second. And, yeah, it's, like, going through a cul-de-sac. Or it's like, what? Okay, but... And then, like, just the amount of things that are going on in the city is... comically hilarious, not like Marvel level comedy or comic, but like you have like high-speed chase that Mr. Incredible's having to deal with. And then during that high-speed chase, there's a cat in the tree that he has to save. And then it turns into burglar on the roof who stole a woman's purse to a man falling trying to commit suicide, and the very dark, in which they kind of skate over. It's more of just the guy's like, hey, I just wanted to die.
You didn't save my life, you ruined my death. It's like, oh, wow.
Laugh at that line. Well, it's a really funny line. And then immediately right after saving the falling man who sues him later, it's Bon Voyage, some super villain guy who just some French dude in the middle of this suburban world that they're
stereotypical bad Frenchman.
Yeah.
Oui, oui.
And then you have to save a runaway train because some dude who's not your sidekick who thinks he's sidekick. Like,
I forgot about the train.
And then on top of that, the wedding. Like, I mean, that's probably not a superhero thing, but there's a whole bunch of superheroes at the wedding as well, which I kind of laughed at as well. Like, oh, hold on, the mask, Bob. It's like, everyone knows who you are if you're like, even if like they only know Bob for being Bob, they have to at least question who the heck are these superheroes and like, why are they here?
Why does Bob look exactly like Mr. Incredible, and why does Helen look exactly like Elastigirl, and why does Lucius look exactly like Frozone?
This was actually last night. I didn't realize this, but Lucius has hair in the flashback, or not really flashback scene, but like 3 or 5 years before they kind of go into hiding, or not really go into hiding, but Lucius, who's played by Samuel L. Jackson, great choice by the way, has like kind of like a good head of hair, and then when we see him next, he's bald. It's like, oh, nice way to kind of progress time, right? It goes from kind of like
pick up on that.
A little bit shorter fro is like the thing, and then he's kind of aged and gone through time, and he's married and whatever, and so it's like, okay, well, shave it bald, and maybe he's thinned, or maybe he's just grown to... I forget what he does as a day job. I don't know if they cover that in this. But it seems like he's kind of just there to go to bowling nights with Bob, in which the bowling nights aren't even bowling nights.
Are very cool. Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to highlight that.
Before we move on from this intro scene, because I think it is one of the most important scenes of the entire franchise, honestly. It really sets the pace well for the movie and for the characters. We get... There's a trope in film. The best way to make your audience love the main character is to have the main character save a cat. Like that's a trope. Like it's been played out through many different movies. And like literally, then the first like 40 seconds of the movie, we have our main protagonist saving a cat from a tree, and it's just like, yep, all right, I like this because it's overly engaging to the point where it makes me excited to be engaged in the film. It's like, wow. Can you imagine it? And also, it's like golden hour, and it's like nostalgia 50s, like Art Deco buildings, and it's just like so gorgeous with it looks visually perfect, and it's just like, man, I wish I was there. I know it's just an animated world that when you stop and look at a freeze frame, it's kind of sparsely populated, and there's not much texture in it, but it looks so pretty as a movie. There is definitely some. I guess it gets us attached to the characters, right? Like, and we get to the backstory. They fit. There's an excellent piece of writing by Brad Bird, fitting all of the pieces of background information we need to know into like 3 or 4 minutes, right? Like we get to hear about Buddy's backstory. Mr. Incredible and Buddy have a quick little back and forth about, you're
not affiliated with
Mr.
me.
Incredible. Yeah, exactly. You're not affiliated. Mr. Incredible obviously knows of Buddy and has been annoyed by Buddy for months and months and months, and Buddy is like, I'm not Buddy, I'm Incrediboy. And it's just like, okay, and this gives us all the background context that we need. We get to see Bob and Helen get married. We get to see that they fell in love as Bob and Helen, and then also as Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, because they have scenes with both of them in their different characters, and it's kind of fun to watch all this happen.
I thought it was a very interesting way to kind of like write it in, right? Because you kind of go into this of like, oh, Bob's got something important to go to. He's wearing a suit. Maybe if someone who's really smart is like, oh, he's getting married or something like that.